Guys, welcome back to Alter Curated. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the cultural doorway we're standing in right now and the collective pendulum shifts in humanity we are witnessing or experiencing right now. And this is what I feel the collective that resonates most with me will need to hear. So, I'm going to talk about what humanity deeply needs right now from my perspective and my opinion. And I will like to see who of you resonate with it. And I will talk about it from a metaphysical and a logistical navigating the human experience standpoint. And we'll bridge both of those gaps and talk about some stuff that I think a compiled list of curation of what I think humanity and the cultural gateway it's at right now will benefit most from. So we are in this weird timeline where half of us are hiding even in connection. Half are hiding in our rooms, scrolling our way through existential dread and AI slop. And off the top of my head, I can think of third spaces to form communities, which I think the cultural shift in humanity or the collective that I'm witnessing or experiencing right now needs most. Is like third spaces which are free and accessible to most to form communities and meaningful connections. And we also do need a cognizance or a reminder of the dualistic nature of life, of yin and yang, that not everything can be perfect all the time. Joy and pain coexist not in spite of it, but because of it. And a nuance in the language of how we view ourselves, engage with others, and life itself, and media and art, IRL or online. We also need a lack of pathologization of not natural and normal human experiences. We also need less corporate greed, less overworking, and more working smart. And also, we need compassion for ourselves and others and the world at large, and a need to be honest with ourselves and others. And beyond this, I'd like to extrapolate and elaborate on these pointers is what do we need as human nature right now to survive, soften, and evolve both practically and soul deep. So here's what I think: we need more of discernment and media literacy, attention literacy. We need more digital hygiene. We're drowning in information and starving for reliable sources of wisdom. So we need to be able to think critically and think of what applies to us. And we need to learn how to consume consciously, not compulsively, as a way of distracting ourselves from the emotional pain or processing we're avoiding. We have to learn how to emotionally experience pain and sit in the discomfort of it without distracting ourselves or escaping from it. We also have to learn to experience stuff rather than intellectualize it or narrativize it first. We have to have emotional education in school, like emotional intelligence education, kind of like conflict resolution, boundaries, somatic coping. Teach kids how to feel instead of asking them to suppress or making them feel ashamed for the big feelings they're experiencing. We need better mental health infrastructure. We need affordable therapy, preventative care more than crisis care, more peer support, trauma informed everything. And we need work cultures that honor humanity, not productivity quotas. And burnout shouldn't be a badge of honor that you have to earn to deserve rest. And we need urban design that invites connection and green spaces like benches, walking paths, community kitchens, human scale environments, not mall scales or like corporate greed inducive environments. We need tech that is built for conscious engagement and not addiction. um, Less of how do we keep them engaged on social media, but more of how do we help them live well, connect to more people consciously, and engage with art or media in a conscious way, in a more slow way, in a more long form kind of way. We need to have circular economy thinking, repair more than replace, share more than own, regenerate more than extract. This also means like your resources. Nature is not an resource to continuously extract from. Nature is something to give back to honor with dignity, and also to share with our own humanity. From a spiritual and inner world standpoint, we have to return to slowness, tea in silence, unrushed conversations, not using music all the time to fill the silence, or some TV show or some movie all the time to fill the silence. We need to hear actual surroundings around us. We need a collective grief practice for the climate, for lost futures, for broken trust, for our childhood selves. We need a collective grief practice for the pendulum shift humanity is witnessing right now. Healing begins when hurt is witnessed. And we need to honor the climate. We need to honor the lost futures that are not with us right now because of what's happening in the cultural zeitgeist right now. We need to mourn our childhood self for the life we never had. We need to mourn broken trust in communities. We need more myth, less algorithm, stories that feed the soul, stories that awaken, provoke, art that confuses, less algorithmically designed art that keeps you engaged and keeps you conforming the AI slop that is being perpetuated. We need community rituals, seasonal transition, shared meals, music circles. We crave sacredness that doesn't demand dogma, or we crave sacredness that demands nuance. We need embodiment, not just knowing but feeling, living in the body instead of orbiting it. We need emotional processing of pain before we straight jump to the intellectualization, putting into context and narrativizing of pain. We need the courage to hold paradoxes. Messy humans can still be good. Love can both wound and nourish. We are both light and shadow. We need a spirituality that includes the world and the human experience, not escapes it. Less transcend, more participate and be engaged in the human world fully. And maybe the deepest need of all is to remember that we are interconnected. We are mind and matter both, and we are sharing a shared reality with the planet. And it is up to us to evolve with the needs of time. And not as consumers, not as opinions, but as souls trying to figure out this wild human thing. And in the digital space, because modern age is very integrated with the digital media, in the digital space we need less comedy for clout, less cleverness for likes, and more passion, more acceptable language, more honesty without a punchline, because art made someone feel it, not because it'll go viral. And we need more passion in life, more compassion also in life. And I think these are just some things off the top of my head I can think of. I'm sorry if I said need a lot in this episode, but I don't know what the perfect word for that would be. So I'm sorry for the repetitiveness of it. But I was just passionate about what we need today and humanity, what it needs today as emotional currency, as soul nourishment, not as armor or escape. So, these are just things I compiled a list of. And I hope you liked today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Sorry for this being a little short or imperfect because I'm again sick today. So I've been very quiet lately. So I hope you guys really enjoy this. And a person I'd like to recommend you guys on YouTube is Anna Howard, mm, of the Wild Geese podcast, and Teal Swan. And I am gonna see you guys later. Bye.